Have you ever wished you had the power to morph the world around you to your heart's desire? Finally, financial stability has provided me peace and quiet. I'm talking the power to change water into ice at the snap of your fingers. Sure, maybe you can get that in most survival games with a bucket and such. But hear me out for a sec. What if a game allowed you to turn water into lava, or wood to stone, as a solution to progress your adventure? Well, with Ruffy's ability to swap, you can do that.
Take me, sweet dad!
If you need to climb up a cliff to reach the next area, but there's no ladders or platforms to jump on, just turn the waterfall into vines you can scramble up. How about something simpler? Do you want this roof to be a different color? Done. The possibilities go as far as your imagination does. Also, who wouldn't want to be a tiny little bear dude? I'm not biased or anything. Swap yourself from unsubbed to subbed, and let's get into my review of Ruffy and the Riverside. Let's start with what these special eyes can see. The game mixes a 2D hand-drawn Paper Mario-esque style for its NPCs and a low-poly style for its environment. You can be the judge whether you like this combination or not, but in a game design sense, this helps differentiate between objects you can interact with and NPCs that you can speak to. It's a mighty clear distinction that may not appear to be of great importance at first glance, but without the outline, you might try to use your abilities on the animals or the colorful cast populating this world. Very smart. With a plentiful variety of environments to explore as you progress throughout the story, that sort of clarity is greatly appreciated. Forests, beaches, ruins built by moles, islands with more forest than beaches. Okay, look, this can't be like Mario visiting his ice world and lava world. The game is contained within many a tree, water, and blue sky. These environments perfectly fit with the jovial vibes of Ruffy and his friends. Listen to how happy he is to just be alive. From that, you might assume that the whimsical sound design means that's all there is to this game. A happy-go-lucky adventure where you run around and do whatever it is a bear does in the wild. This is a world with real characters living within it, and venturing down the story's path will unravel a history that goes deeper than appearances may lead you to believe. As an example, moles and snakes do not get along at all. Throughout your adventure, you help mend their relationship and lead them to a mutual understanding and respect. Not to spoil all of it, but the very world itself is at stake, and only you, Ruffy, and Pip the Bee can save it. The power of the swap is this game's defining feature, and hoo boy, was it a ton of fun testing everything I could do with the ability. When I started playing Ruffy in the Riverside, the swap ability took some time to get familiarized with. I was bedazzled by the possibilities before me, and I immediately began running around and performing the goal of every collectathon, collecting. Right after you exit Ruffy's hometown, you are graced with a sweeping view of an open field to explore to your heart's content. There's an arrow pointing you towards the beach, but nothing's stopping you from interacting with just about everything here. I spent my first 2 hours figuring out the mechanics here and doing all of the puzzles. It was a blast just learning what the swap ability could do. While the game offers you plenty of help to understand it, sometimes even spoiling challenges for me before I got a second to try out a solution, it also leaves more than enough for you to figure out on your own, just the way I like it. NPCs are there to give you hints and clues aplenty, but when performing the main story, I found Pip piped up too soon on a couple occasions. Nothing egregious, but Pip definitely deflated the fun of figuring out a handful's worth of puzzles on my own. 5 or so puzzles with spoiled solutions and a game with hundreds is nothing, and I only notice them when directly progressing the main story forwards. There are some reoccurring puzzles you'll see time and time again. Let's knock out 2 birds with 1 stone and explain both them and the swap ability in more detail. The pattern potato is one of the most straightforward puzzles to look at and understand immediately. Somewhere nearby, you will find graffiti on a wall that is the solution to the pattern potato. Your job is to use the swap ability on the symbols on said pattern potato to recreate the graffiti. Hit the right bumper to grab a texture, and then right trigger to lock onto something and swap it. You can tap left trigger to lock onto multiple targets, and any mistaken selection can be undone with another press of LT. And you've swapped it. You probably noticed this bar in the corner ticking down next to whatever you grab. When time's up, you lose whatever you have currently, but nothing's stopping you from re-grabbing what you had before. If you need to get something like the color red across the map and time's running out, you can apply the color to a nearby tree's leaves to then re-grab the color from there. Recreate the pattern on the potato, and you get one of the many collectibles. When it comes to swapping, you can only swap things that make sense to swap. You swap colors with other colors, liquids with other liquids, and solids with other solids. You won't be able to turn wood green or stone pink, sadly. Maybe we'll get that in a sequel. Can you tell I like this game because I want to see a sequel? Back on topic. While those are the most straightforward puzzles, many more are scattered all throughout the environment. Sometimes, they're subtle enough that you can easily wander past them if you don't have a keen eye. I will spoil just one puzzle solution because it had me stumped until after I had beaten the game. See this area with beetles wandering about? There is a wire connecting to the land nearby that I want to power for a racetrack's booster panels. The crow here mentions that the beetles are hinting at what used to be. At first, I thought the mud needed to be turned into something else, like water, but it finally clicked when I counted the amount of beetles, then looked at my surroundings closer. Trees in the same amount. I immediately knew to turn the leaves red using the beetles themselves, and voila, just the button I needed to see. That's the puzzle half of Puzzle Platformer, so let's talk about the platforming half of this game. Your jump takes you far and long, and any descent can be slowed by holding the jump button. As long as you have stamina, Pip will help you out. The platforming is never too demanding, and sits around the same difficulty as your average main story playthrough of most Mario titles. That's by design. The game wants to be a more chill experience focused on puzzle solving. There are no lives, checkpoints bring you close to where you were, and health regenerates without any need for pickups. The enemies in Ruffy's way are incredibly simplistic, just walking around and requiring a single punch to dispatch. No game over screen doesn't make the game easy, but it is a relaxed affair that focuses on providing thoughtful puzzles and charming scenery and characters. Now, for the few things I was mixed on or outright disliked. There are some crows that have you interpreting riddles before having to swap around pieces to the puzzle. But I think most of the riddles are too much of a word salad. They aren't particularly clever riddles, and none of them gave me that satisfying aha moment after completing them. For most, it was a process of elimination after struggling to make sense of what's said. In order to hear the riddle again, you also need to mash through a little too much dialogue. On top of that, you can pay the crow to make sense of it for you. It's a nice option to have, but it feels like a band-aid solution to one of the few areas I found the game was lacking in. The rest of my grievances is minor quality of life stuff, such as a tracker for what you're missing in each individual area for completionists. This map is huge, and as you can see, I was missing quite a bit by the end of my playthrough. It felt like searching for a needle in a haystack, so I didn't go for the 100% completion. Oh, and one more thing. With the butterfly collectibles, there were maybe 2 or 3 that were simply out in the open with no challenge associated with getting to them. I walked into a new area, immediately saw them, and waltzed up to them without having to put in an ounce of effort. If they're easy to see, getting to them should be the challenge. If they're easy to reach, on the other hand, they should be hidden away to require some effort on the player's part. To sum up, this game is a great time through and through. With a charming cast of characters, world, and story, exploring all you can with Ruffy's swap ability is a total blast. I was blown away by all the different avenues they explore with simply swapping. Give this one a shot if you love puzzles or want something with that Banjo-Kazooie vibe to it. Thank you to Zockrates Laboratories for allowing me to have a review copy of their lovely game. And thank you for being here until the end. Make sure to show them some love so they can make more creative games like this. Most of all, thank you to my members who support me and allow me to pump the AC in my home through this incredibly hot summer. You all rock. Before you go, would you please subscribe and consider becoming a member? That's all from me. WeebBear, out.